Hi, this is Co-Design Callouts, and over time we've sort of done a bit of a, would you call it grounding theory or something, where you take all the reading and then boil it down into themes and then group the different themes together. So I did that over a period of years, really, and all these different themes emerged. And I did a set of videos a little while ago, and I'm circling back to it now and carrying on with those themes that emerged from the original reading. And the theme today is hierarchy. And I wanted to start with hierarchy in respect of hierarchy and agendas, or coming into the space, and wanted to start first of all with this very evocative quote from Brian Massumi, the writer Brian Massumi, yeah? And Brian Massumi often writes with Erin Manning, who we've referred to quite a lot, and we love Erin Manning's books. But Brian Massumi, so I'm going to read out this quote. The way that academics usually communicate when you go to a conference, you can't help being subjectively positioned from the moment you put on your name badge. You are not just registering your presence, you're representing yourself, and you speak accordingly. Your angle of entry into the situation is personalised in this way. This assumes that your identity coincides with your potential, and that when we express ourselves, it's in this individualised mode of potential. It's interesting, isn't it? I think this applies to a lot of meetings and things that we go to, where we lead with the name badge. I think in our world of trying to think about different ways of co-designing participation, being inclusive, this can really be a barrier to inclusion, but also a barrier to, as Massumi says, realising the potential of that group of people. I think we all have had experiences of being in a meeting or being part of something that led somewhere different, or where we were surprised, or a meeting that where had an outcome or a decision was made or an idea emerged that was exciting, was thrilling. And if we try to cap the potential for that, the potential for dialogue and co-creating ideas by doing this kind of soliloquy individualized thing, then we will reduce the potential of our processes and meetings. So I think that's a really interesting thing to think about. And how about getting started on something? We'll do like warm-up exercises, and so why not avoid the just standard introduce yourself and your job title, or ways in which I'm guilty of it as well. You say how much experience you've got, 20 years as social worker or whatever. Why not start in a different way? There's this book called Closer Apart, how to design and facilitate brilliant workshops online. And in Closer Apart, they say, well, what about, just talking about one moment of joy you've had in the last month? That's just a little idea. There'll be other ideas that you would have had for starting a meeting in a more interesting way, or democratizing the space by not going directly to experience a job title. I guess there are some situations, just to be my own devil's advocate, there are some situations where you really need to know who's in the space, and and be clear on who holds the power and who doesn't. So not a simple thing, but there's a challenge and a provocation to us there. One thing that Kay McKercher writes about in a brilliant book, Sticky Notes, is about encouraging people to use their names and not their titles, and sort of practicing flexibility and how we kick things off. So I would endorse that, and Kay McKercher's work as ever. Also talks about a hierarchy and more broadly in co-design and systems, and how we need people that can work across hierarchies. Describes them as systems knitters, so that who can link together different types of knowledge. And so having those in your organisation that can work across the lines of hierarchy, can disrupt, can be provocateurs sometimes, and having those in the room if you're trying to do sort of participation work. So you don't just go, you might need the people with the power, you might need the big job titles, but then also how are you going to open up the space, how are you going to do something a bit different if you haven't got some of those people that can bring a different perspective or bring different types of knowledge. So that's for sure, and perhaps disrupt the hierarchies. And there's this book called Corporate Rebels. That's a good title, isn't it? Which I've got here. Corporate Rebels. It says make work more fun. There we go. So I've got a quote from this book, Corporate Rebels. So on hierarchy. So it's no longer acceptable to sit on your hands for somebody waiting to take the decision. Centralisation simply doesn't mesh with modern ways and circumstances. So I feel like this is like, don't wait for the mandate. If you're trying to do something, whether that's get in a social work context, get a parent group going, or advocacy, or something interesting, or even just sharing something or starting a meeting differently. I mean, I've really cringed on many occasions where I tried to do something a bit different and it's felt kind of like it jarred, but you know, it's like maybe we got to do that a little bit. Okay, and so and finally, it features in Adrienne Marie Brown's work, and I've got her book. I was looking for the emergent strategy book this quote is from. I've got some typed out here because we've got all the material typed out, and we've also got some, like, gathered it together in a library. If you're interested in that and you want to get in touch with me at tim@relationalactivism.com is the email, then you can. But I've got the books here as well, of course. And so this is Pleasure Activism, which is Adrienne Marie Brown's one of her other books. I think perhaps her first book. I might be wrong in that. But her emergent strategy is the work that this book is taken from. And she refers to the GEMES principles for democratic organising, and which talk about inclusivity. So these were used for a collective organising around anti-globalisation and community movements a few years ago, and there's an emphasis there on bottom-up organising. To succeed, it's important to reach out into new constituencies and to reach within all levels of leadership and membership base of the organisations that are already involved in our networks. We must continually building and strengthening a base which provides our credibility, our strategies, mobilisations, leadership and development, and the energy for the work we must do daily. Let people speak for themselves. Yeah, how about that? And also these principles, so the GEMES principles for democratic organising, also refer to and have a commitment to self-transformation. As we change societies, we must change from operating on the mode of individualism to community-centeredness. We must walk our talk. Yeah, that's true enough, isn't it? Definitely. Okay, well that's your theme on hierarchy, and we'll be pitching in with another theme soon and keeping these going. In the meantime, if you wanted to get in touch or comment on the video, then do that, and I'll see you again. Okay, bye.